fantastic European team.
That's
When's the last time they made a World Cup?
In Wales?
Yes.
It's been a long time. That's like
it's longer than Scotland. This great European team.
Right. Let's raise the issue.
Right.
I just remember, that Europe have got more slots in the World Cup than South America.
They've got more
slots in the World Cup than South America. That's a talk for another day.
No, they have.
Yeah.
And I have.
Why? Why do you think they have more slots?
Because maybe
they're better.
No.
Quality.
No, they have more numbers.
Well,
yeah, numbers.
Well, numbers and quality as well.
No, numbers in terms of teams.
Exactly.
Teams that play Europe.
Good teams that are actually good. Teams
that play Europe. The number of teams in European football far more than South America. So yes.
Right. Why? Does that not boil down to quality?
No, it doesn't, because South America is broken. We're talking just south. You have the Mexicos and the rest of them. You have the Jamaicas and the rest. So it's broken down. If Europe were to be divided into maybe three, Western Europe, Southern Europe, and Northern Europe, then you would have the same conversation. Really? So it's not down to quality. Really? It has nothing to do with quality.
Right. This is just for another day.
This limited number have dominated world football.
Well, just two teams, right?
Two teams have been there. They've been running riot in the World Cup.
Right, to rest this issue, right? Well, by the way,
you don't want to rest it.
No, I want to rest it, right? But it's a conversation for another day. First of all, I cannot agree with you that South American football is better. No, it's not.
Way better.
No, it's not. I'll disagree with you every single time.
Scotland showed us why European football is where they are.
Ukraine showed us
Italy also showed.
Ukraine showed that European football is where it is today.
And Lionel Messi and co showed where South American football is.
Right. If
now let's leave there very quickly, guys, and talk about more football stories now. They say, while I know we'll ever finish.
Yeah. Problem. No, they finish.
It seems to be the story of Song Heung-min and the Player of the Year. What did you make of it very quickly before we talk about our league and wrap up the show this morning?
Right, I felt disappointed.
Song Heung-min fails to make the cut.
23 Premier League goals, no penalty.
Ronaldo makes the cuts. Kevin De Bruyne, Mohamed
Salah make the cuts with penalties. He's
talking Sadio Mane. Talking Virgil van Dijk.
Come on, I mean, I'm questioning the parameters for selecting the nominees because
in European football.
Right, so let's not bring the conversation right now. We're talking the Premier League.
Yeah, Premier League, but it's in Europe.
No, right. Let's not bring it in.
England is not in Europe.
It is, right, but this is a unique situation.
The Premier League is not Europe.
It is. This is a unique situation, right?
All right,
come on.
Let's continue to talk about European football.
Thank you very much for letting
Premier
me
League,
talk.
to be very particular.
Thank you very much for letting me talk. So
right.
I feel disappointed to say the least because Son Heung-min was a fantastic player for Tottenham. His achievements have been under-recognized in the last few years. I mean, he comes in good for Tottenham almost every season, but who they talk about is Harry Kane.
Asian Player of the Year, 7 Kings.
Crazy stuff, right? He's a bright star. I mean, he's a fantastic player. I mean, this year clearly showed that. I mean, the English media and the fans as well don't rate him because how will he score 23 goals without a single penalty and not nominated?
But his teammate Harry Kane gets a nod.
Well, Harry Kane scored 27 goals in our competition for Tottenham. But
how many penalties?
A few penalties, I think up to 6, 7. Kane scored 23 without without a penalty, right? He's not nominated.
We're talking, the Golden Boot win in the Premier League.
Right, I feel like crying. It's daylight robbery, to say the least.
That's what happens.
Very sad.
European football. Now, let's come back home. Talk about the Nigerian Professional Football League. Akwa United yesterday fired blanks again against MFM.
To the dismay of a lot of people. A lot of investors.
MFM, where everybody they collect points. You reach your turn.
You play draw. Very sad for Akwa. Bright, I think the departures Adewale Adeyinka, Babatunde Bello, that absence has created.
Let's not make excuses for them because the team. We understand the importance. I understand the importance of quality.
Of course, right?
Yeah, importance of quality. But in a team where you've got strikers, Bello Babatunde
is a midfielder. He's scoring goals.
So you can't tell me because you don't have a Kevin De Bruyne in your team, you can't get goals.
I agree, right? I totally agree with you, right? But there are a couple of players that will come to a team, when they play, their presence alone, their influence alone gives the team some energy, some drive, some mojo, to plan to score goals. And I think Babatunde and Dadeinka, because of their quality, brings that to this Akwa United team. And both of them were not available yesterday. But like I said, like you said, no excuses for them. They should have won this game. MFM are struggling. They are playing their selves out just to survive relegation. And here you are at home in front of your home crowd, cannot score, even if you cannot score 2 goals, to get 3 points. It's very, very, very sad, right?
You can imagine chances like
this. Look at this, right? Just look at this.
You can't do this, be it Nigeria, be it Bangladesh, anywhere in the world. You can't do this.
How did he score that? How did he not score that? Oh, this is crazy, right? Very, very crazy, and I feel very sad for them. They're chasing the top 4 position, defending champions, and then you're missing chances like this. Well, I don't think they're ready for the Champions League.
It can't be realistic because
it's clearly unrealistic. Look at this.
It was the story of that first half. Plethora of chances being joked around with time and time again. They had the chances, but just wouldn't make it count. Coach Deji Ayeni post game said, "Well, we're still there. We believe that we'll play at the continent."
Right. Everybody wants
sounds like silly talk.
Everybody wants to sound good. Remember, Imam Bakabo, when he was sitting with Abiyaris, he kept saying, "I believe." He kept saying, "I would, by God's grace, by the grace of God." But playing well. Look at this. Oh, come on. Yeah, so I think it's highly unrealistic. This game would have brought them very close to, qualifying. We're talking about Enugu Rangers chasing that team spot. We're talking Remo Stars. We're talking Kwara United. And then you have a game like this where you should win. You're not winning. Then you're not ready, unfortunately. So the story is that played a draw. Disastrous draw.
Now, very quickly, let's look at the full results elsewhere. Rivers United, meanwhile, beats Plate United by 2-0 to ensure they now have a 10-point cushion between themselves and, of course, the second place Plate United. Now, a full wrap. Akwa United 0-0 against MFM. Rangers 2 winners over Wiki Torres. They by 2-0 winners over Sunshine Stars. Gumi United 3, Heartland 2. Katsina United 2-0 winners over Niger Tornadoes. Lobi 3, Kwara United 1, Shooting Stars 5 blanks. Oh, wow. It was a 1-1 draw against Remo Stars. And now on the table, 10 points lead. Rivers United Mari are running away with this NPFL. Plateau United second with 57, Rangers third, Ayimba fourth, Remo Stars fifth, Akwa United Gombe, Sunshine has a week completing the top 10, and well, the 20th position concerns us very directly.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got 2 games in hand, but Dakada are rock bottom. 30 points from 29 matches. Joined in relegation zone by MFM, we've got 32. Heartland, we've got 34. And Logi Stars of Makodi, we've got 36. And surprisingly, that's the same number of points with 15 and 16 place Abia Warriors and Niger Tornadoes.
Well, right, interesting stuff. The way the table is shaping up from Plateau United. They're dropping points yesterday to Rivers United, and Rivers are swimming away with the title since the Rivers United. So let's say they're swimming away with the title. Of course, you talk about Dakada. I feel very sad for them. I wonder what's happening with them because the quality has dropped. The way they play. I mean, they lack the mojo, and they look like they're already studied in themselves that they're going down. I watched the game they played against. I think was it last game. They didn't show class. There was no energy. There was no energy. Scott was leading 2-0. Ended up 2-1 rather, and then ended up losing 3-2. It looks like psychology is down, the mental strength is down, and I think Omar Danlami needs to answer a couple of questions as to why this team is like this.
No, well, being with those who fund that team, begin to answer the questions, and they will spread across. Well, the conversation continues beyond here now on social media. So do you understand the handles are displayed on the screen? Of course, we'll get talking a bit. Thank you very much, Mario.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And the conversation.
European football is better than South American football. Just a quick reminder.
All right, so well, that was highlighted last night by that 3-0 win in favor of the Europeans. Italy, sorry, forgot. Argentina, the Copa America champions won. That means South America 3 and European football 0.
I disagree.
And well, it just shows you which is better from the result. Thank you very much, guys, for joining on Bright James, and it was fun doing this. Let's meet again tomorrow morning. Have fun.
Spectrum TV,
broadening your horizon.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by Muslim, our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All for election night, you about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reform they are carrying out, there will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, and in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Good morning and welcome to Political Spectrum, the program that zooms its spec on all sides of the divide, left, right, and everything in between. With what is playing out in the country and the new turn of events with regards to who becomes the presidential candidate of different political parties, who have decided to stick to a northern candidate to be able to clinch power by winning the 2023 elections. Well, at least this is what a lot of persons have made reference to, and of course with major political parties like PDP. Of course, while we await the All Progressives Congress presidential primaries this weekend, all eyes are on that singular event. There are indications that the All Progressives Congress might also be going for a northern candidate who will be able to face Alhaji Atiku Abubakar at the polls. Indeed, some Nigerians are concerned about the fate of the Southeast in the face of all this. Perhaps alliance is one of the best strategies to deploy. Well, we'll be looking at all this and of course, in the face of national unity, how it can be achieved ahead of 2023. But first, let's begin with the political update. Well, of course, this statement is accredited to Ahmed Lawal, the Senate President, and he says, I'll be addressing Nigeria as the next APC candidate. Of course, Ahmed Lawal, the Senate President, has stated that the next time he speaks to Nigerians would be as the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate. Lawal said he was examined as a candidate and not as an aspirant after his screening at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja on Tuesday. And I quote, I talked to the panel, he explained, as an APC candidate, not an aspirant. I was asking critical questions regarding our party programs, but actions and administration and my vision for Nigeria. As Nigerians president stated in 2023, I have a vision for the country. It was a wonderful experience for me since I was looking forward to the opportunity to convey myself clearly to my party screening committee about why I'm running for president of our beautiful nation in 2023. Well, according to Lawal, the Ninth Assembly reversed the electoral law solely to guarantee that the electoral procedures were transparent, free, and fair. And that is why in the National Assembly they passed the measures to alter the Electoral Act 2010 simply to guarantee that as a political party, we enhance the electoral process and of course procedures in Nigeria for better results. And we also think that Nigeria's economy must continue to benefit all Nigerians. That is to say, despite having Africa's greatest economy, we must continue to ensure that the economy serves everyone so that no one is left behind. Well, also, Peter Obi presidential ambition is said to be under fire as the Labour Party platform is seen to be on a knife edge after a federal high court ordered substitute service against some party officials close to the former Anambra governor. Well, Callistus Okafor had filed an ex parte case with the Federal High Court Abuja Division on Monday, requesting that courts designate him the party's rightful national chairman and de-recognize its existing leader. An ex parte motion asks a judge to issue an urgent order without first hearing from the defendant or the parties involved in the case. Mr. Okafor said that the party's ostensible leader has stalled all attempts to serve that with the originating summons and, of course, interlocutory injunction. He also took arms at Akingbade Oyelinke leadership, claiming that he represented those who are illegally and unlawfully parading themselves as members of the National Working Committee of the Labour Party. Julius Abru and Umar Farouk were also named as respondents, claiming that they were elected chairman and secretary respectively during a party meeting in Benin in March 2021. Substituted service of the originating summons, interlocutory injunctions, and all other processes in this suit on the 1st to 3rd and also 6th to 12th and 14th defendants by passing the said procedures at their political party office, which is the 5th defendant's office located at number 2 Oke Abba Street of Ladoke Akintole in Garaki, First 11, Abuja. Well, that is the situation before adjourning the case until June 30th. For further considerations, the judge directed that the summons be filed within 7 days. Well, Ruben Kwankwaso, the presidential candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, has been urged to work with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, Daju Adeyanju, and of course Abuja-based activist lawyer said Kwankwaso should collapse his structure and work with Obi. He said Kwankwaso should team up with Peter Obi because the former Anambra State governor has a national appeal. In a Facebook post, the right activist noted that Kwankwaso only had local support, unlike the Labour Party presidential candidate. Adeyanju claimed both Peter Obi and Kwankwaso would make a good presidential and vice presidential candidate. Kwankwaso said, collapse, and I quote, collapse his structure to work with Peter Obi. Obi is popular all over the country, while Kwankwaso influences in only Kano. They will both make a good president and vice president respectively. Well, Peter Obi recently signed to leave the People's Democratic Party and join the Labour Party, I beg your pardon, recently, which of course he emerged as a candidate for the Labour Party. And also the group maintained that the court made it clear, and also Amechi is on trial for any misconduct of crimes. Moving away from that, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and the Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, the group acting executive director, Dr. Dike Agwoye, made this known in a statement sent to journalists on Wednesday, June 1st, 2022. According to him, the recent calling on the Supreme Court has vindicated Amechi, and the Supreme Court had last Friday, May 28, 2022, dismissed Amechi's appeal to stop the probe over the alleged 96 billion naira fraud. The Apex Court, however, stated that although all the prayers of the former minister was dismissed, the sixth one was determined. Dr. Agwoye said amongst the 7 issued for determination, Amechi said that the court should determine whether the Judicial Commission of Inquiries and of course competently investigated and proved him. And I quote, but in this decision, the repeated 7-member Apex Court panel held that the 2 lower courts were right in their pronouncements that the Commission of Inquiries had the right to investigate and prove the applicants. Well, he went ahead to say that the court noted, however, that the panel is not a judiciary body, and so does not try to determine dispute as any rights of obligations or liabilities. Well, the Supreme Court also said a commission of inquiries in a fact-finding or information-seeking body, it carries out in fact-finding or information-seeking by the process of impartial investigation to find out certain facts or information about the subject of the inquiry. Also, former governor of Kano State and presidential candidate of the New Nigerian People's Democratic Party, NNPP, Senator Rabu Musa Kwankwaso, has said that presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party, PDP, and former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should bury the thoughts that he will get 11 million votes in the 2023 general elections, saying that political dynamisms of Nigeria has changed in the last 3 years. Of course, it was reported that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Wednesday said fresh registration in the Continuous Voters Registration, CVR, has hit 10.2 million. Kwankwaso, who stated this on Tuesday in Abuja, actually undergone NNPP's presidential screening to contest the 2023 general election, said Nigerians are wiser and are desirous of a leader who can change the situation of things in the country, move the country in the right direction. Undercurrent by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar that he is already guaranteed 11 million votes going to next year's general election. Kwankwaso also reported, and I quote, "Where will he get the 11 million votes from?" And of course, what would that bring from? And we brought them. There is a lot of division in the country, and if something is not done, the country will not grow. In Kano, we know what happened in 2019 and how the popular votes were, subverted. And of course, that will not happen in 2023, especially with the signing of the electoral law. That is it from us on the political updates. And then, of course, we would have to move away from that and then get on to the burning story, where, of course, we'll bother on the court ruling or the case between Friday Woke, Honorable former Friday Woke, that's the former House member representing a back state constituency, and of course his case and 30 others on the account of the delegates elections that held on the 30th of April 2022. That would inform our burning story, and we'll be back to take that on.
A knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs create new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
Welcome back. Yes, we're still on political spectrum, but of course we're singling in on the burning story. You will recall on the 30th of April, there was a Congress held by the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State, which served to the selection of delegates who would be voting at different levels, both of course the state delegates and the national delegates. That of course that delegate election was faulted by some members of the political party of the People's Democratic Party who were not actually the outcome was not fine with them, or they saw that the process was not actually done in a democratic way from their point of view. And of course that led to a case being filed in court. Of course yesterday was another day, the second time with which the case was decided upon, and that case has again been adjourned to the 14th of this month. And now we are going to take a look at what that actually means for the People's Democratic Party. Francis, the implication of that means that the deadline by INEC for political parties to submit their candidates for 2023 election stands on the 9th of June, which is in few days to come. And of course, that same court ruling, that court case has been further extended to the 14th, which means the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State would have to file in candidates that they have selected from the different primaries conducted within the state. And then again, if perhaps on the 14th of June, the court rules that the delegates they are not supposed to use, or the PDP wasn't supposed to use those delegates to conduct those primaries, it therefore means that all outcome, including the names filed in for INEC, would become illegal.
Well, as far as what we have seen so far, he is concerned, and INEC has come out to make Akwa Ibom, to make Nigerians understand that they can actually shift the election timetable to favor or to ensure that they accommodate the interests of the Nigerian people if I'm expected to use that standpoint. And so if peradventure by the 14th of this month, which has been extended, or the case has been adjourned to, the legal system finally decides to give a verdict, and it goes against the using of the ad hoc delegates, and that would therefore mean that there will be a fresh primaries across Akwa Ibom State as far as the People's Democratic is concerned. And then for that to happen, then it therefore means INEC will have to give some level of concession or some level of compromise one way or the other to ensure that the PDP in Akwa Ibom State gets to conduct fresh primaries for the ad hoc delegates, and then they get to conduct their different respective primaries elections and get to select their flag bearers all over again before they can finally file in the list.
Now, of this situation might not be, just Akwa Ibom State, but if you want to put it, how many states are affected by this particular issue? How many states have cases filed in court for this particular purpose? Or would the timetable be shifted just for Akwa Ibom State People's Democratic Party to actually file in candidates?
Well, we've already seen cancellations of PDP primaries across some states of the Federation, and we've seen them, so some states like Bauchi ordered a rerun of the primaries within the state system. And we are here to see information coming out from other states who've equally had issues with their ad hoc delegates and the electoral process that saw to the emergence of the different flag bearers of the party. We might be seeing a lot of that cancellation coming up. Recall that when that ad hoc delegates happened across Nigeria, we had a lot of videos on the social media space. We had a lot of comments on the social media space. Here in Akwa Ibom State, for instance, we had major stakeholders, major aspirants within the Democratic Party converging at the state PDP secretariat to say elections did not actually hold in their press briefing. And so, considering the scenario that played out, considering the fact that this particular time Nigerians are looking for a credible system that will produce leaders that they want, not persons that are imposed on them, I think INEC would have to, going by the body language and going by their extension, which a lot of persons are saying at this point in time, seems to show that INEC are dancing to the tune of the ruling All Progressive Congress. I think at this point in time, they will also have to dance to the tune of the PDP and other political parties who might be having issues.
INEC is an electoral umpire that is independent, just like the name implies, Independent National Electoral Commission.
Well, a lot of persons beg to differ.
May not dance, like you said, if they are dancing to the tune of the All Progressives Congress and dancing to the tune of the People's Democratic Party, and perhaps will be dancing to the tune of, Nigerian Labour Congress, it means they're giving equal attention to all political parties.
Well, that is what they're supposed to do. I mean, if you go by the electoral timetable that INEC has given before now, they had specifically said nothing was going to allowed them reschedule that deadline, which was 3rd of June. And now, within that time, you would see that the APC National Working Committee, for instance, has been filling Nigerians with different timetables. It is being a charade of rescheduling of timetables over and out, in and out, and in and out.
Especially with the All Progressives.
So that has been the situation. And then going by that, you recall the last time that the All Progressive Congress was supposed to have the convention, a lot of persons who are in Abuja, reports coming from the Eagle Square, which was supposed to be the venue, said there was no preparations being made. And owing to that fact, shortly before the time they were supposed to hold the Congress, we didn't see anything happen. And then INEC all of a sudden announced an extension in the deadline. And so a lot of persons are of the opinion that probably INEC is dancing to the tune of the ruling All Progressive Congress. And if that be the case, that in the spirit of justice, in the spirit of fairness, in the spirit of equity, they will also have to dance to the tune of the other parties.
Perhaps not really dancing per se, because what we see, what a lot of persons have observed is happening with the All Progressives Congress is that they wouldn't want to, or they don't, perhaps, maybe deliberately, maybe not, but they don't want to be at the forefront. They don't want to lead the trail. They want to come from behind, see what is happening, see what the major opposition is doing, see their choice of candidate, and see how to put on like an opposing game.
Well, at this point in time, a lot of Nigerians will tell the ruling All Progressive Congress that it's not going to be business as usual going forward come 2023. A lot of persons are advocating for voting behind across party lines and not voting the different logos of the respective parties that you find, but actually going to vote the personality that is standing on the platform of the party. Because Nigerians say they are tired of the scenario where we vote a particular party, and then along the line you get to see that the interests of the people are not well taken care of. Twitter is very hot, social media space, Instagram, Facebook is hot right now, and the what's on the street is basically get away from the mindset of, you know, party interest, you know, having that allegiance or loyalty to whatever party or political party you have affiliations with. Walk away from that and consciously move yourself to a standpoint where you get to look at the credibility of an individual, you get to look at the credentials of an individual, you get to look at the antecedents of an individual who is standing on the platform of their respective party, and then vote for that individual, not the party. Because as Nigerians would say, the party has failed us, now it's time to vote individuals.
Well, definitely, in as much as it's time to vote individuals, no individual will emerge as an independent candidate without a political party. And just when we thought that Peter Obi might be safe where he is with the Labour Party, there is a court case that is actually, you know, embattling who is the authentic national chairman of the Labour Party. And of course, you know, that actually, since Peter Obi is the presidential candidate, if the authentication of whoever is the chairman of that party is in doubt or switches from who actually accepted Peter Obi as a candidate of the party, the incoming chairman might have a separate decision whether or not he will accept Peter Obi as the candidate, presidential, you know, presidential candidate, of course, of the Labour Party.
You know, Otto, the dynamics in politics is sometimes very hilarious, and then this is just one of the seasons that we're going to have all of those dramas, or Nigerians will call it Nigerian movies, you know, happening from the political scene about whether or not the battle in court is decided in favor of the incumbent Labour Congress Party chairman, or against the person who's instituted the deal. Well, I would say at this point in time, Nigerians would just have to watch and wait for the court decision. But be that as it may, the person of Peter Obi has grown in the shortest possible time to be some sort of a global brand that regardless of whichever party he might be jumping to, we might be seeing Nigerians.
You're looking at him moving from the Labour Party now to another.
If the situation arises, we might see that.
That will come down to me.
But then, if we have to use the Akwa Ibom case scenario between John Odoyedere and the APC crisis, probably we might see a withdrawal from court anytime soon, and then maybe in-house settlement and reconciliation committee set up and all of those things.
Do not forget that this is at the national level. National level. The case of the All Progressives Congress in Akwa Ibom State was a lot easier because there was someone, a superior, you know, officer, a superior stakeholder in the party who actually brought calm. And of course, when you talk about Labour Party, it's not a national party. They don't have key players in government who can actually call the shot. And then you have all of them almost being equal at this four. Regardless, there's one who might play the piper, who might have more money to run, to fund the party. In as much as that is so, it will be difficult to have that instant callback or withdrawal with the Labour Party.
Like you rightly mentioned, in as much as there is no significant person within the Labour Party that is, standing or maintaining or occupying a very exalted position politically in Nigeria presently, whether or not we like to believe it, within the party system, there are movers and shakers. They are the creme de la creme of the Labour Congress Party in Nigeria. And those persons, whether or not you like it, are the persons who determine what happened. And like you said, in the words of former Minister of Niger Delta, what money cannot do, more money can do. And so persons who are responsible for financing the party have the highest stake. And whether or not you accept that is not a question of contention, because it will definitely
you will agree that
so if we have a good number of those persons with higher stake within the party siding with Peter Obi, which of course might likely be the situation, then there is no way he's not going to win.
There might be a way, okay, he might win, but of course not to a large extent settle the differences within the political party. Because still bringing it back home with what happened with the All Progressives Congress here in Akwa Ibom State, you could recall that this did not actually start in this election year. It started way back in 2015. And of course, it had prolonged to this time because they were almost at loggerhead since the time where Senator Gosula Fabio actually joined the All Progressives Congress. It has always been like that, which a lot of persons can trace to he's not been able to return to the Senate in that same year. So yes, when you have party faithfuls who are almost, when you talk about financing, they're almost the same, and they're almost at loggerhead, it's somewhat difficult to resolve party issues in that regard.
The NSAS protest did something for Nigerians that a lot of Nigerian politicians, whether or not they admit it publicly, are very aware. And one of that is the power of the social media. And any politicians right now will tell you that they do not joke about public opinion in the social media space. And if you look at the person of Peter Obi right now, he's like the most talked about presidential candidate on the different social media platforms.
Perhaps it's another sabotage.
Well, judging from that, you already know that this person has a lot of supporters gathering up. In as much as we will agree that supporting a presidential aspirant or whatever aspirant is not an all-round social media thing. We have also seen that the social media campaigns have gone past just being a social media tweet, a social media retweet, to actually being a movement that has gone past the social media into a real thing with basic structures being set up. So a political party that wants to clinch power, who is not either the main party or the main opposition party, would definitely be very constructive and very critical in taking decisions, especially concerning the president of Peter Obi. If it was some other candidate, then probably we might say that this might linger on. But on the person of Peter Obi, with the gathering of momentum he is currently enjoying across the board, a lot of things might definitely change.
Well, we look forward to seeing those dynamics change, but we'll take a look at some comments from the social media space, and of course bring you visuals as to what really happened during the State Congress in Akwa Ibom State. But that would happen after this break. Stay with us.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by gross level, our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Elections in Nigeria is characterized by fraud.
It is not pure election because of the way they conduct it.
The elections are here again. For us in Akwa Ibom State, it is another opportunity to elect credible and potential leaders.
But I see some of them are not really credible.
In fact, when you talk about the credibility in the Nigerian system, it's absent.
As for the aspirants, what are your plans to better the lives of citizens and ensure that it is not just another era of political promises?
Some aspirants came up with so childish kind of manifesto, something that you know that they cannot do.
Even if after campaigning and promising heaven and earth, you find out that by the time they come in, they cannot do 50% of what they promised.
Because they are coming to see this. If they don't use this, they will not achieve what they want. So it is the normal thing they must use to convince a man that does not have a proper ideology to vote them.
So it's just a mere slogan. It's just a mere slogan to use and have their right into power.
What do you, the people, think about the elections?
The electoral process has been marred by malpractice and all of that.
That's a bad thing in Nigeria. All election night is about money.
Definitely, no matter what the reform they are carrying out, they will still be rigging.
It's about the aspirants, the manifesto, the people's view, and in-depth analysis.
That godfatherism is what has eaten deep into our political system. It has become a cankerworm that has left our political system into a corrupt system.
If it is not godfatherism, somebody like me, I will become the counselor. So because I don't have a godfather, it will not work.
Because people feel that they will come and invest, they need to get something back home. So the major aim is not about the people, it's about their family and themselves.
Godfatherism will not help the politics to grow. It won't help democracy to grow.
Vote buying will even be more this time around because these people, most of them have stolen a lot of money and they will use this money to buy votes.
Who gets to represent you in government at all levels?
Well, for me, the new breed aspirants, I would love the new breed aspirants. But for those, there are some of them that will not, I would say, definitely, I wouldn't want them to come back definitely to power.
Join us on Akwa Ibom Decides every Saturday and Sunday by 3 p.m. each day, exclusive to Spectrum Television, as we take on the aspirants set to lead you.
knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs. Create new dynamics towards emerging market millionaires and billionaires. From the dot-com era to the oil booms, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360, taking you to the business around the globe. Join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays, exclusive on Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
Politics is a game. It is about delivering dividends of democracy. For this, accountability is key. So we listen, we follow up on the promise, and we track the progress. Watch Political Spectrum weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., exclusive to Spectrum Television. Welcome back. Of course, we did promise that we're going to bring you some footages to show or perhaps remind you about what took place on the 30th of April 2022 on account of the conduct of delegate elections that selected the delegate that took part at the different, primaries conducted by the People's Democratic Party. Of course, that particular conduct, that election was embattled by, or worse, characterized by a series of, inconsistencies which was identified by some faction of the party and of course sought redress in court. Now that case has been moved to 14th of June 2022 and it will determine whether or not the court will nullify the outcome of that delegate elections, and by virtue of that nullifies all outcome of primaries conducted with a list of the delegates that came out or that emanated from the said Congress. That is the situation. And of course, we've been joined on call by Mr. Supreme Okun, who will be talking to us about the 2022 APC presidential primaries and the different dynamics to it. We have seen the People's Democratic Party over the last weekend conducted theirs, and of course, Elijah Atiku Abubakar emerged as the winner of that, primary. And moving ahead, what is the APC having at heart? Where are they moving? Who are they moving for? A northern candidate or a southeast candidate or a south-south candidate? What will be their position? That will inform the basis for this conversation. Good morning, Mr. Supreme. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Supreme. Welcome to Political Spectrum. Let's kickstart. What do you think would be the outcome of the APC presidential primaries that is slated for this week?
From my own take is this: I am perceiving northern hegemony in this 2023 election. And earlier today, and I'm sensing some form of gimmicks from the northern elders towards this political party primaries, because in the last few weeks or months, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, in one of his press releases, made a statement that he does not have any anointed or favorable or prepared candidate. That whosoever that the Nigerians will vote, we move. He uses the word "we move." That means we'll be the president of Nigeria.
Well, a lot of persons would disagree with that standpoint at this point, Mr. Supreme.
I'm coming. He was keenly looking at the body language of the People's Democratic Party. As soon as the People's Democratic Party brought a Northerner as their candidate, the president has now come to say that he is going to choose who becomes the APC flag bearer. And if the president, at the end of the day, brings a Northerner in APC and we have a Northerner in the PDP, then what better option do we have? You understand that the popular election will just be a kind of a fraudulent to the entire Commonwealth of the Nigerians, whereby billions of naira will be spent, and at the end of the day, the entire process of transparency, accountability, credibility that enhances the electoral process to produce a credible leader was already truncated, abused at the party level of how these political party flag bearers being made. So I am sensing APC bringing a Northerner versus a Northerner, knowing that the Nigerians will not have any other option than to vote for the candidate in the two major parties.
But Mr. Supreme, if I have to follow up on that, you've established that it's just the PDP and APC. I'd like to bring to your knowledge that those are not the only registered political parties that will be partaking in the 2023 general elections. There are about 18 of them that is registered within the Nigerian system. And of course, if APC and PDP brings out a northern candidate, which of course we have seen that the Labour Party is being built now to portray the image of a national party, would you still say that Nigerians will be left with no option?
Away from that, the man in the Labour Party is not option for money politics. And then these two parties are playing money politics. And money is a strong motivator when it comes to leadership recruitment process in Nigeria. Vote buying is still in existence. Bribery and corruption is still fully in existence. When you look at the political primaries of the two major parties of PDP, you see that money was a major factor of who becomes the party flag bearer. And now, this man that has gone to Labour Party, Peter Obi, you understand? It's not option for money politics. Because I understand his psyche that he who pays the piper will always detect the tune. If you spend billions to image as a leader of the party, then you have to recoup your money because it is no more service to the people, rather a business. A business comes with you recouping your capital and making profit. The service to humanity comes to what? Getting the basic things and doing what you are required to do. So the man in the Labour Party, that's why I am praying and believing that Nigerians should wake up from their slumber to realize the essence of what allowing the true leadership process to take place by running a free and fair, transparent, well-deserving and credible election in Nigeria. The voters will vote for their conscience and vote their mind and not sell their vote for a morsel of beans, and will have to go hungry in the next 4 years complaining about infrastructures, bad infrastructures, bad governance and corruption. That is my take. My take is that Nigerians should walk away from these two political parties that are playing money politics and look into another political party that has a credible candidate, at this point, I am not promoting anybody. But any man that will not buy into the conscience of the cabal of money politics should be given an opportunity. Because at that point, Nigeria should be able to hold such a person accountable for his actions and to develop the country. But in as much as the two, you and I know that the two major political parties, APC and PDP, are the leading frontiers. PDP ruled for 16 years. APC have already taken their bites for the past 8 years. And we'll also do everything possible to remain in power in the next 8 years. To whose detriment and for whose benefit?
Well, at this point
when
in
we
time,
look at the leadership credentials of the people who are likely to emerge, we are waiting for the one of APC. My own take is this: why didn't the president have a preferred candidate or make a move to anoint a candidate in the past? That would have gone a long way to determine who should become the PDP flag bearer. He would have influenced a lot of things. But now he's coming to tell the governors that they have brought out the House of Representatives, senators, and governors that they should give him a chance to also appoint who will represent him. And at that point, he wants to truncate the internal democracy of the party and then form a consensus, which to some extent is not against the law, but then to what extent will that favor the people?
all right, Mr. Supreme, at this point, in as much as we know that President Muhammadu Buhari spoke with the All Progressive Governors Forum and has asked them to support his bid to give Nigerians the person that will take over power come 2023. We also know that given the political situation in Nigeria, where interest and relevance is one of the key things that governors value very much in politics, do you see the governors citing out their rights to President Muhammadu Buhari at this point, knowing that should they do so, they might not be relevant come 2023 and going forward at the political affairs, knowing that some of them must have already served their 8-year term in their respective state and are or would be depending on the national level for some level of appointment or settlement in order to stay relevant? Do you see them giving out that right?
I do not. The governors will have no other option than to key in, because all of them in these two political parties are playing politics of stomach infrastructure, personal interest, and money. And at some point, they don't have opinion of their own, because having opinion of your own will mean that you're not supporting the government of the day. That means you will not continue in some aspect of governance. And none of them is willing to be put aside. So all of them will cower in the queue at the detriment of the development of the country and the advancement of the people. So I don't think I see any governor opposing the idea of the president. And any of them that would dare to do that will be put aside. And you know what that means. So at this point, the only person that will be willing to say anything will be somebody that will be willing to walk away from the government. And so this is my own take. I will not support the president's candidate because of these reasons or so reasons, and then walk away. But without that, all of them will have to queue behind the president's option. And that is not good enough for a democratic setup. Because I bet you, the APC will take a northern candidate against the PDP northern candidate.
All right, Mr. Supreme.
In order to truncate.
All right, there are two dynamics that might likely play out, like you rightly mentioned. Is either the Governors Forum will also present their own candidate while President Muhammadu presents his own candidate. And then if such situation should arise, who do you think the delegates within the All Progressive Congress are going to vote? That's the first question. Or would you think, or do you believe, in your opinion, can the delegates of the All Progressive Congress be able to vote out a person chosen by President Muhammadu Buhari? And going to the fact that in 2011, in his own state, Katsina State, there were disparities where President Muhammadu Buhari had his own preferred candidate, but then the people wanted a different aspirant, and at the end of the day, they were able to vote against this candidate, and the people's choice emerged. Can you, do you think a replay of that scenario might be playing out in a situation like this within the All Progressive Congress?
comparatively, look at the idea of the voters, the delegates' power in the state. The governor brought an anointed candidate, a preferred candidate. Was the delegate able to vote in another direction? And if at the state level, the governor can get anything he wants, how much more a man with 68 legislative, the 68 legitimate authorities? To what extent can you fight the presidency? Even the delegate. Who will appoint the delegate? Who will appoint the delegate? So at that point, the delegate will have to play, there's this language that they say, play government. You have to play the government, just like it was played at various states. When the governor brought a preferred candidate, no delegate could vote against. The politics has changed in a very dramatic dimension, well monetized. Do you understand? Than ever before. People barely have conscience because of money. You understand? The state of the union matters to a very few set of people, and the majority are playing interest. So at this point, the delegates will even be the one to tell you that we are playing the president's option. They are the ones that will tell you, because everybody wants a favor from the presidency. By the time you play politics and know that we have a decent mind, we have the people's interest to protect, that nationhood evolves. That a man who is a child today will become a teenager tomorrow. A man who is a teenager today will also become a youth tomorrow. A young man today who is very agile and full of youthfulness will also become a father tomorrow. And by the time you become a father tomorrow, you are approaching what we call an old age. So life is not stagnant. Okay. And whatever that we are doing today will come haunting us tomorrow. So that's why I tell people, play politics of principles. So it is better that we go back to our electoral law to state the tune of these political parties, because I have noticed a lot of misdemeanors. I have noticed a lot of lacunas. I have noticed a lot of gaps in the electoral law in regards to the operations of the political parties, starting from setting the tune of acquisition of form and how these party candidates should acquire their form and all of that. We need to set this tune and then also come to adopt a method of how primaries should be conducted. If consensus the party wants to use, they should prescribe one method. Let it be consensus. If it is direct primaries that they want to use, they should prescribe one method, direct primaries. The electoral law should be able to prescribe. It should not leave it open, direct or indirect.
Well,
let it be one way so that we will know. Look at what happened in Akwa Ibom State. And also prescribe who is a delegate. So that what happened even in Akwa Ibom State and elsewhere will not happen, or we having an English language that nobody was learning enough to give a meaningful interpretation of status quo ante till today in Akwa Ibom State.
Well,
all these lacunas, political parties are harping on it to perpetuate their ineffective leadership and governance. So that is what you're likely to have at the national level, with this very language of the presidency that I'm seeing. Why didn't the presidency talk of consensus candidate, a preferred candidate at first? He waited for a moment where the political parties will be hooked on the neck and Nigerians will be more vulnerable to make such a statement. Anyway, we are watching to see who will be the preferred candidate of the presidency. If it comes from the south, then I will applaud him for fairness. And if it comes from elsewhere, I will also accuse him of bias and even corruption.
Would that be fair from that angle, to judge him when it favors you and to castigate him when it does not? I think that would be completely unfair. But at this point, I'd like to remind you about a particular memo that was sent, where the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress actually told the president to stay off party issues and allow the National Working Committee under the chairmanship of Abdullahi Adamu to actually handle party affairs throughout the electioneering period. And now I want to find out from you, do you think this is possible given the fact that the president is coming up again with issues of whom he will prefer, who he will prefer as the next candidate for the All Progressives Congress? Now, if that is the case, if that is anything to go by, because actually as of now, he has not mentioned any name, neither has he talked about which region the candidate will come from, but he has stated categorically the qualities that he would need from such a candidate. Do you think that's already sending signal?
What I'm saying, starting from the chairman of national chairman of the APC, he who appointed him, start from there. He was played into that goalpost by the presidency. Will a man that did not have the support of the presidency becomes the leader of the party at the national level? The answer is no. And he who pays the piper dictates the tune. If the presidency supported him becoming the national chairman, then to who will dictate his tune? The party at this point, I don't see the party being able to play politics away from the president's preferred candidate.
So, but you know, the person of President Mohamed Buhari, he has always been this that is quiet about certain issues, leaving, key players that are involved to, banter and then sort themselves out. Perhaps until when it gets to an extreme case before you see President Mohamed Buhari come in to try to bring calm. But truth be told, over time, like what my co-anchor Francis mentioned, what happened in Katsina, he did not impose his preferred candidates at that time to the people, hence the reason why, the people's opinion, the people preferred person actually triumph at the end of the day. So bringing that to this point, do you still think that because he plays the piper, he would be the person to detect the tune of these elections?
Come again, please.
I'm asking with reference to what happened in Katsina State in the last 2015 elections. That was when President Mohamed Buhari was vying for the office of the president. He had a preferred person he wanted to take over the affairs of Katsina as the governor, but the people's will prevailed over his preferred candidate. And now bringing it back to what is happening within the All Progressives Congress at the moment, do you think, going by his gestures of not always imposing individuals on people, that he will most likely stay away from party affairs, just like the National Working Committee has asked him to, regardless of the fact that he plays the piper?
Whatever that happens, if the people could install their desired person in power, it means that there was some level of fairness at that point. Then at this point, you could see that everybody is determined because it has to do with a succession plan. A lot of them will not be there in government again. One of them that will not be in government again is President Muhammadu Buhari. He is retiring from politics, though he will play a sideline of advisory role as a father, but he will not be actively involved or by taking appointments anymore. So at this point, it is a crossover to him and a lot of people. So interests are keen. There's so much interest attached to 2023 election more than 2019 election. 2019, a lot of people could let a lot of things slip by, knowing that it was a continuing. But this one is a crossover. So I don't see any delegate, I don't see the will of the people prevailing over the desires of the presidency at this point.
Oh, well.
And behold, if the president has made this move a long time ago, like 3-6 months ago, there would have been some form of, politicking around the party structure. But right now, against the INEC timetable that political parties have to submit their names of the flag bearer, we are running out of time. So for the party to submit the name of a candidate, a lot of people will have to key into that sentiment and then let their interest slip.
All right. From the candidates that we have from the southern region, both from the south, the southeast, and the southwest, who, in your opinion, do you think, if President Muhammadu Buhari would want to go for a southern candidate, he would probably be chosen to favor?
I will give it to him. I will give it to him as being fair, credible, and a man of equity and justice.
Okay, like which person amongst all the aspirants do you think the president might want to prefer within the South region?
Come again.
Which candidate of all the aspirants for the position of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria would you say President Muhammadu Buhari should he turn his eyes to the southern region, might likely have as his preferred candidate?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know because at this point, Umehi has gone for consultation, Amechi has gone for consultation, Gospel Fabio has gone for consultation. A lot of the national leaders at the national level, His Excellency Governor Amechi has gone for former governor of Cross River State.
Benayade
has gone for consultation. Senator Gospel Fabio has also consulted to be the president, and then Umehi has also consulted. I don't know if His Excellency Rocha Sokorocha was screened, and he's also vying for the post. So at this point, you look at who is who in the South that it should be. I'm not going to decide for who becomes. I'm not going to decide for the president. At this point, I cannot even predict because predicting will mean a personal opinion, which will not by any means influence the presidency's decision. So I will reserve my comments and then watch him pick from either the southwest or the southeast or the south-south.
Okay, peradventure they come up with another northern candidate, just like the People's Democratic Party. And given the fact that a lot of persons do not feel, or this does not actually sit well with a lot of persons, what do you think would be the next line of...
It will be a betrayal of trust. A betrayal of trust of the party stalwart. The Southerners have given their best support to this administration to work as successfully amid their security challenges and other challenges. They still believe in the government because there was a language of zoning, believing that the president is a man who is against injustice and corruption. So on that premise, the Southerners gave him full support, believing that when it is time for the Southerners to rule, the president will also give his own support for the purpose of equity. So if peradventure the presidency now goes for the northern candidate to represent the APC as a party in this 2023 election, then it will be a betrayal of trust, national conscience, and it will not go along. It will not be an encouragement to the union called Nigeria.
Well, of course, that is the much we can take on this. We're going a short time out, but please hang on. We'll close up on this when we come back from this break. Stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leaving the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Welcome back. Of course, we're still staying on the issue of the All Progressives Congress presidential primaries, which of course is built to take place this Saturday, this weekend in Abuja, where the All Progressives Congress will have to elect by virtue of either, vote or consensus decision who actually would become the candidate of the All Progressives Congress and will be facing or standing in with to face Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and many other as candidates from other political parties at the 2023 polls. But a lot of persons are anticipating and trying to preempt the outcome, what they are expecting. And I would like to find out, Mr. Supreme, what are your expectations, a typical expectation for Saturday?
Please come again, I can't hear you.
What is your expectation for Saturday?
Preferred candidate?
Expectation in terms of who would emerge as a candidate of the All Progressives Congress. Going by what happened within the People's Democratic Party, we saw aspirants merge camps at the middle of the elections to actually align and realign to see how they can form alliance. And of course, if actually some Southeast aspirants formed an alliance with Wike, perhaps he might have been declared winner because he would have been the winner. He was just running at a very close range with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. But be that as it may, I say again, what are your expectations for Saturday?
Please come again. The network is bad.
Okay, Mr. Supreme, the question is, what are your expectations for the upcoming APC presidential primaries coming up this Saturday? Who do you think might likely emerge as the presidential aspirant, the flag bearer of the APC?
All things being equal, I feel that a southerner from the southeast or south-south should be given an opportunity. Because I would have said Southwest. Southwest took their turn fully for 8 years, and then South would have gotten theirs, but it stops at 6 years. So, and that came at the verge of what, should I say, the act of God. So now we want a Southerner to emerge from the process of from the process of a popular election.
Well, we hope your expectations come
true.
Okay, Mr. Supreme, we do hope that your expectations come through this Saturday. But well, we want to thank you so much for your time with us on the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm not getting you, sorry.
Okay, we'd like to thank you for being part of today's edition of the Political Spectrum. We appreciate you giving your time on the show, sir.
Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate your efforts towards reaching out. But for Nigerians, we should also get our PVCs and be ready to vote. And also, our political leaders at the party level should do their work enough and be patriotic in the process of carrying out the internal democracy within the political parties to ensure that a man with credibility, capacity, intelligence, and empathy is given an opportunity. And also, since the principles of quota and zoning has already been pronounced, they should follow that diction, because that was the diction they followed in the past. Okay. Now that the diction is favoring the South, they should continue with the principle of equity, justice, and fairness to ensure that the People's Democratic that the All Progressive Congress produce.
All right, Mr. Supreme, we do hope so, and we wish you the best of luck with that. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And of course, at this point, we'd like to take a look at the presidential aspirants within the All Progressives Congress that will be standing in for Saturday's election. Well, you can see that we've had quite some number of personalities there that perhaps have manned positions before and have done extremely well, some of which Governor Deshmani of the Ebonyi State is said to be doing extremely well, being the governor of Ebonyi State, and of course has transformed the face of the state. And if you look at the credentials and of course the testimonies or the antecedents, the past records of Godswill Akpabio, he's one of such persons that Nigerians celebrate a lot when it comes to uncommon transformation or uncommon event. Anything he does is termed uncommon and uncommon presidential declaration and all of that. And then we could see other key players. Ahmed Lawal, he's one of the most, you see, bills within his, tenure as a Senate president has moved smoothly and gotten passed almost seamlessly. So you see that they have quite some interesting aspirants there.
Well, as far as credentials of the different aspirants is concerned, you give it to every one of them. They have the antecedent, they have the experience, they have the qualifications.
Except for some new
and even the newcomers, like the youngest person amongst them, the youngest presidential aspirant, Jackson. I listened to him last night. He was talking about he'd given the opportunity to become Nigeria's president, what his focal point would be. He talked about some key issues that we know is one of the biggest problems we're facing in Nigeria as far as Nigerian youths are concerned, and that has to do with the issue of startup capital and getting to access loan from the financial institution, where you get to have to be, present a collateral in landed properties and things that we know naturally the average Nigerian youth would not have. So in order to take the Nigerian economy, that is one critical area that must be dealt with. And I give it to him, looking at the blueprint that he was able to present. And then other key players, yes, the likes of Governor Benayade of Rivers State. Yeah, a lot of persons would say things are not really moving smooth across Rivers State. But then, to a large extent, given how Rivers State was and how it is now, well, those are things that are debatable, and only at the end of Ayade's administration will we be able to say to what extent he's been able to change. But there have been some commendations that he's been able to, make one or two factories functional in Cross River State. But away from that, like I said earlier, every single political aspirant within that list has the criteria. It is therefore obligatory of the delegates, the All Progressive Congress, the leadership of the party, and all hands responsible to ensure that they give to Nigeria a candidate who will, represent the interests of the overall persons. And where we want to toe the line of justice and equity and fairness in the zoning pattern, then it should definitely come from the southern part of Nigeria. And that is the prayer, that is the hope, that is the aspiration of Nigerians right now.
Definitely. And then, of course, when you talk about the aspirations and the hope of Nigerians, and of course, in Nigeria as a country, as a nation, being extremely religious, I think the next line of action is to pray and see what the outcome would look like, while all eyes will continue to remain on the All Progressives Congress to see how they will align and realign the intrigue for will really play out on Saturday. Are we looking at seeing all, because you have quite a number of Southern aspirants there. You have the likes of Rotimi Amechi, you have the likes of Godswill Akpabio, Governor Benayade, Devo Mahi, Roger Sokorocha. I mean, if they all come together and try to form a consensus from the South to push out only one aspirant, to represent the South, I feel the South might have a position. Because if you judge from what happened with the People's Democratic Party, where Governor Wike came up to say that he was betrayed by the Southern, governors and all of that, for not getting the backup that he had expected, we could see that it was Tambuwal who actually caused a stir. You saw the excitement, how Dino Malaye was happy, and then that actually a lot of persons will attribute to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's win at that primary to that particular turnover.
Well, a lot of persons who followed the political antecedents of Governor Nyesom Wike during the consultations will tell you that he was widely welcomed and received across the northern part of Nigeria and across the different geopolitical zone. And so it is expected, his outcome, the number of votes he was able to gather, it didn't come as a surprise or as a shocker to other persons. And then, coming from his standpoint, I think a lot of persons will also understand where Wike is coming from. And we saw Lawal Tambuwal, resignation or withdrawing and allying with Atiku Abubakar. And significantly, in as much as we cannot tell the different votes or the strength of the different persons within the southern region, it is expected, a lot of persons are of the opinion within the Nigerian society that if all the aspirants within the southern region had actually sided calm with Wike at the 11th hour, even Tambuwal at some point, given the fact that to a large extent he also owes Wike some level of loyalty, might have, probably have some persons within his
faction. He actually want to waste his vote,
so probably he was weighing his options and then citing that maybe Atiku had an upper hand. I mean, personal interest then rolling. So I understand the grievances. I understand where Wike is coming from, and it just goes to portray the fact that a lot of persons within the southern region are calling for a united front if the southern part of Nigeria are going to clinch on
united front is the key word for us, and this is where we draw the curtains on political spectrum today. Thanks for watching. My name is Otto Basita.
And I am Francis Adet. To have a good day.